They say if the church ain't crying, then the church is dying.
I never heard that. I like that
We
one.
are that.
That's gonna be our
So
snippet for the intro to the video.
I don't want to take that as my. I heard it somewhere.
It's gonna be yours
But,
now. Welcome, everyone. Today we're kicking off this video series looking back at this past week's Sunday readings and looking forward and ahead to next Sunday's readings. We know that the average person attending Mass doesn't always look ahead to the readings they'll be hearing at Mass, so I hope you'll find our little show fun and useful. My name is Vincent, and my buddy's name is Roy. We've been friends since childhood, and we both volunteer at different churches as lectors, otherwise known as the guys who do the readings at Mass. We'll look ahead to what readings are coming up this Sunday, as well as share some of our own personal stories about volunteering and everyday life. Okay, let's get started. Coolio.
totally.
You have a book? Good Lord.
It's the. You guys don't get this? So yeah, I typically use that as my practice.
99.5% of the time, I will read it 2 or 3 times beforehand, like at least a half hour, at least before I get in the car. So how do I break this up? So here's an idea, I can hear it. Here's an idea, and there's the idea. The way it makes sense. It's not just like a whole run-on sentence the way it's written. It also has to be kind of heard.
Yeah, well, it was interesting when I first read Letter to Paul. I was like, oh my goodness! Like he writes it like you're just talking to somebody. Drones on and on and on, and like, where does this thing? But people, you follow it. You pause and I always think it's like an equation. If you like say A plus B equals C, you're like, wait, what? If you go A plus B times F, multiply it by this and that, and you kind of see the segments together. Then equals, because it's like a full blown equation that you're trying to say in a word.
And it's also different from, it's one thing to read a letter, it's one thing to hear a letter and hear it spoken. Because these were letters, they was meant for people
Yeah.
to be read. At the same time, we are reading it and it needs to be heard. Okay, Lent is already here. February just flew by. I don't know how you felt about that, but February flew by.
Well, it's the shortest month, so regardless if you feel it or not,
It's like an
it's 5 months.
equation. So I've been doing the no meat because no meat on Friday was a little bit too easy. So I'm like, all right, let's up the ante here. Okay, all right, let me really push it. Okay, no meat at all, but I'll allow Sunday, right? Since technically we're not fasting on Sunday. Is there anything that you are trying to do, or have you given it any thought this Lent?
I lost a lot of weight like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been, trying to keep healthy. But last year, I wasn't really paying attention to what I ate. Although with Lent coming up, and it's like, okay, well, you need to get back on track. Not to say that it'll be every other day, but there's a lot of protein shakes and like one meal a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I think especially for Lent that it's good. It's a good exercise in discipline for everyone,
yeah,
whatever it is, the thing that people pick. So one thing I was thinking of like was adding something like, oh, can I do something extra? For example, like, for like the ADA campaign, that all the dioceses, shout out to all the dioceses out there trying to get your ADA up to give a little bit more. So like whatever I gave last year, all right, let's see if I can give more. Can I double it or something, right? So
yeah,
I'll see, I'll look at the finances and say, all right, this is not an equation. This is a giving from the heart, giving what you can, giving, and then giving more because I'll give it what I can. It's like, well, how about if you give what you think you can't?
yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is my limit. Well, push that limit and then go further and see how that changes things. You never know. Again, it's a sacrifice. It's all for God. If any Catholics out there listening to this, Catholics technically we don't believe in karma, like we give something to get something back. Like it's not that. It's a proper giving. It's an all giving thing. It's not like, oh, you put out into the universe, you get it back. No, 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 no. We don't, we don't,
Yeah.
we don't play that. We don't play the karma game. But
There's
anyway,
a
like as a disclaimer to anyone, we are not theologians. Here we're just a couple of guys who lecture on Sunday, and we don't have degrees in theology or divinity. All right, okay, the readings we did today. I read also today, by the way. Anything strike you from the readings today, or anything that the priest said?
well, the one thing, it was interesting to see in all three of the readings that it talked about like the fruit, like giving out, from His grace, like what fruits are you giving out? in the gospel with everybody always focuses on the beam in your eye,
I
pun
think that's such a
unintended.
funny thing that people overlook. Like
Yeah.
if you're a first century Jew reading that, like that visually that's hilarious. That you have someone like with a beam
So
stuck in their eye like this. I'm like this big splintery beam, and as you're going around trying to take splinters out of everyone's eye, you're scattering splinters into other people's eyes. You have this big splintery beam stuck in your eye.
well, with that being said, just speaking on that a little bit, it's interesting. For some reason, my eyelashes are
Your
they
eyelash.
they and I have really dry eyes, so the natural tears don't, help wash it off.
Okay.
And then it's blinding. I try to go into the mirror, I can't even see it because the eyelashes bug in my eye. You kind of have to, just with that reading, like you have to help yourself first
Yeah.
before you go out and try to help others. It always starts small and with yourself, and then it goes out and spread out the grace. If you try to do it while there's still issues with you, that grace you could give, maybe, like you said, just spreading out more
Yeah.
splinters
Yeah.
than necessary.
The one thing that I stuck out from what the priest said, he said that, and this is totally out of context, but he said we're a mixed bag. So that was in the context of that was like when we speak, from the first reading, like don't judge someone until they speak, because that's when you know what's in their heart, what's in their mind. One thing he said, like, okay, try to be grateful in the things you say, try to acknowledge people, and try to be kind to people with the words that come out of your mouth. And not everything that comes out of our mouth is a good thing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, because we're a mixed bag. And he saying that was like, for some reason that resonated with me. It's like, yeah, no, I do have to be careful. I do say a lot of bad things as well, and I don't say nearly enough good things, because we're a mixed bag. And to be aware of that, and being aware of that, not just us but other people, that they're a
Yeah.
mixed bag too, that they're going to say good things and bad things. Be understanding of that. All right, forward looking. I know we have, I don't know when I'm going to post this, but I don't know if I'm going to post this before or after Ash Wednesday. I'll try to get to Ash Wednesday probably after work. I think we have some masses available at church, later services, which is good.
I don't think my daughter's listening, but she got an award for doing good at school, and so she's going to get it on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
And we'll go to mass, but she's also in the
Yeah.
choir
Yeah. Oh,
on
nice.
that Wednesday, and we're going to get the ashes. So
Nice. All right, so what's on tap for this Sunday? For next Sunday, I am not reading next week. But what do we got? We've got first readings from Deuteronomy 26, and that's Moses reflecting back on how God brought them out of slavery, and then he'll bring them to a land flowing with milk and honey. And as a thanksgiving, they give the first fruits. Psalm 91 will be the "Be with me, Lord, when I'm in trouble." And then the second reading is Romans 10. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart, then you will be saved. This week was things that come out of your mouth, and then next week is like confessing God from your mouth as well, right? So believing in your heart and then also confessing it.
I give props to priests in the homily when they can show and tie it in all together, to kind of help with the reasoning behind some of the reading.
Yeah, because sometimes one reading, today's reading, had a lot to do with yesterday's reading. But even the Sunday readings, they are connected.
Typically, on a daily basis, on the Hallow app, there's a daily mass reading, and that's kind of like my daily prayer. And
Shout out Halo app.
unsponsored. If we want to sponsor, you definitely see the threads, and it's interesting that they kind of prepare you for Sunday's reading.
Yeah.
In terms of how they kind of are laid out.
One thing I like to do, I teach CCD, and one thing I always try to do, I do it almost all the time, but I try to do a Sunday reading preview for the kids. Sunday reading preview, let's go over this, and what does this mean to you? Let's think about this. So when you hear it at Sunday, you're like, oh, okay, I heard that before. I just heard it, and now I understand what the reading is about. Versus hearing it for the first time, you're there with your family, and these fifth, sixth graders are mind is wandering and they don't pay attention. Listen for this thing in the gospel, or hey, listen
Yeah.
to this thing in the first reading. It's really interesting.
So many distractions, so many people. I mean, in any church, you have the crying babies, or the kids stomping their feet, or
Music to my ears, the cacophony of babies.
they say if the church ain't crying, then the church is dying. So,
I never heard that. I like that one.
yeah, that.
If the church ain't crying, the church is dying. Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be our
So
snippet for the intro to the video.
I don't want to take that as my. I heard it somewhere.
It's gonna be yours
You
now.
know,
It's gonna be yours now.
so if you are prepared and knowing kind of what to listen for, and having kind of already a thread, it kind of could snap you back into reality and like kind of catch up of where you're at, instead of like, well, I don't know what they're talking about anymore, so you kind of clock out.
Zone out.
So,
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I
that's
think
smart. That's a good idea.
that's the one thing I'm not very good at a lot of things in life, but I think I'm semi-decent at reading, mainly because I'm not a good public speaker, and I'm not public speaking. I'm just reading into a microphone and making sure I enunciate my words. I mean, sorry,
Yeah.
enunciating God's words,
Yeah.
not my own words. So I take that very seriously. And you put me up on the stage and talk about something, you give a presentation, I'm like, da, 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 da. But just give. All right, cool. I think we hit up on a lot of good topics for today. I'll drop the links to the readings and notes captions below. Not too bad for our first one. And one last thing I like to do as a tagline is remember the fourth commandment. Do you know the fourth commandment, Roy?
Honor your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Honor your father and mother.
Honor your father and mother, and the best way to honor your father and mother is to pray for them and maybe give them a call too. Did you call your mom recently, or your dad?
Yeah, they came to mass today. We had a date night with my wife, so my daughter slept over my parents' house. So we planned it all out, and then I'm reading tomorrow. You want to come to church?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, so they came by.
It's always nice to have the folks at church, and then y'all get together afterwards, like, okay. And then sometimes it's like, want to go out for breakfast or something, or you want to go out for lunch? I know my mom.
That would have been cool, but Lorraine teaches CCD too, and it was right after mass.
Oh, it's right after. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for her.
That's why I do the 9 o'clock reading.
We gotta get together. We gotta get together, me and you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, dude. All right, thanks for doing this. This was fun.
Well, fun.
I'm glad you reminded me, because like I know I need to do this, because there's so much to do that I start on nothing. Do one small thing at a time. Just keep doing one small thing at a time. Okay, how was it? Leave your thoughts below in the comments, and don't just like and subscribe, but also click that share button to share with your family and friends as well. Take care and God bless. I literally have I have mine sitting on the table in a shoebox. I have a second screen here and I have you here.